Welcome to Schooling Around. In case you haven't noticed, our school district has become the talk of the nation recently. It's not a bad thing. It has nothing to do with sports or competitions. It's all about 13 reasons. We'll be right back. You're watching OCTV, Oxford Community Television, serving Oxford, Addison Township, and the village of Leonard. The Alveus anti-bullying program has always been a big part of our schools. What with all the social media platforms, this is a big deal. About 4 years ago, forms of bullying pushed one of our teenagers to the brink. She took her own life. Now along comes Netflix and 13 Reasons Why. It's a series about a teen who commits suicide, but not before she makes tapes telling who and what caused her to do it. It pressed some sensitive buttons in our community and our school. Here's Katie Getz.
When I got back from spring break, all the kids came up and said, "Oh my God, have you seen this show? Have you seen this show? Have you seen this show?" And I was like, nope, don't know anything about it. Then Miss Fine came and approached and said, "I think we should have our Bully Buster kids do something about this show." And so then I started to watch it. Absolutely. As a teacher and as a parent, I get so angry with this show because I know as a teacher that this stuff is going on, and sometimes we don't know and we don't see, and we're so busy trying to do everything that, I now feel guilty. And so I thought this was an excellent way to show that we do care. And our goal was, if we can reach one kid and prevent one kid from completing suicide, then our mission has been accomplished, and I think this has exceeded that. 13 Reasons Why has been very hard for me to watch as a parent, because I don't ever want to see my child go through that. And as a teacher, I spend just as much time with these kids as I do my own children, that I don't want to see them go through this either. So it was very hard for me to watch, and I love these kids just as they're my own, and I would never want anything to happen. So I'm so happy that Miss Fine had come up with a different avenue and a way. I want students to understand that there is hope. Hope is out there. It might be dark right now, but there is always going to be someone there to help you through those times. And if we could teach kids about hope, I think that we've accomplished our job.
Pam Fine is our head counselor and dean of discipline in the high school. She doesn't like to be photographed, so while she tells us the story, we're going to background the news conference that took place as the program evolves. This is Pam's story.
At the beginning of April, I had some people contacting me, like parents and some community people and some other districts contacting me asking for my thoughts on 13 Reasons Why and how they should talk to their kids and how we should address it. And I didn't know about the show, so I decided I needed to educate myself on what the show was. So I went home and I watched the entire Netflix series. And while I was watching it, there were a lot of things that resonated with me as far as from a mental health standpoint and from a suicide prevention standpoint. There were things that reminded me of Megan Abbott's story, and there were no scenarios that were given that we haven't dealt with in my 6 years here, aside from the car accident. It was very accurate as far as the situations that high school kids go under. It was very accurate in its depiction of, what happens at parties and, boys exaggerating about what they've done with girls and all of those things that we deal with pretty regularly. So I didn't like the show as far as, it was very good. It was very well produced and it was very entertaining, and I got all involved into it up in 4 a.m. watching it like everyone. It's incredibly riveting television. The problem is that I was watching it, they had aspects of the show that I felt like promoted contagion. And there's some research on what promotes copycat suicides. And one of them is graphically showing the actual suicide, which this show does. There's also a glorification aspect. There's the revenge aspect. There's she's blaming people for her death. The voice from beyond type thing. All of those messages bothered me. It bothered me that the entire title probably bothered me the most, that there are enough reasons why, that there are X amount of reasons why you kill yourself. So it was bothering me. I was thinking about how can we start communication with our kids. In the meantime, Christy DeSano, our sign language teacher, she was becoming concerned. She had watched the series. She heard conversations among kids in her class. They were all talking about it. We had students who were live streaming it and watching it in the cafeteria during lunch. And we weren't in those conversations. The adults weren't talking about it with them. They weren't the kids weren't coming to us and saying, hey, let's discuss 13 reasons why and suicide. So some of the kids were saying things like, I have more than 13 reasons, and my life's worse than Hannah Baker's. Those weren't conversations that made us feel comforted at all. So Christy came up to me. I walked in one morning and she came up and she's like, Pam, what are we going to do about 13 reasons why? We've got to do something about 13 reasons why. And like I said, okay. And then it was just like, what if? And that was it. Like, it came out of my mouth right then. She looked at me. She's like, yes. I'm like, right. And just seemed like a good idea. And
Next, team building.
A small town with a lot of heart and history. A hidden gem with a sense of community. Welcome to Leonard.
Pam Fine knew that this had to be done just right. That's when media teacher Chaz Millard became involved.
And we ran and got Chaz Millard and asked him if he could create the sound of a tape recorder just like the show. And then from that point on, he's been dragged into this. And I said, this isn't going to be any work for you, Chaz. Like, I can record the kids. I just need the sound of a tape recorder. That's all I need. He is now giving hours every day to help. So we went through all the channels. We went through Mr. Dunkley and the APs. And then we called Mr. Throne. Katie Getz and I called Mr. Throne. And then we talked to Denise Sweet. And so once we got approval from everyone, then Katie has a first-hour leadership class that does Bully Busters, and they do the bully prevention program over at the middle school. So I write the lessons, they go teach it. So I have access to Katie's class, and I know that these are kids who are passionate about change. So I thought I'll pitch it to them. And so I went in and I said, hey, I have an idea, tell me what you think. And the kids immediately were like, yes, yes, yes. And I said, okay, well, it'd have to be secret. You have to keep it secret in this class. And they were like, okay. And I said, if you tell anyone, it's going to be ruined. And they kept it secret for like 2 weeks. They didn't tell, I don't think anyone knew that this was coming. And so I said, okay, so you guys, and I'm just pitching it out to the whole room, there's like 36 kids. You guys, if you want to do a tape, then write your name down, a little bit about your story, and just leave it up here. And we only had like 4 or 5, but I was like, they'll come forward eventually, you know, da, da, da. And so we decided to go ahead with it, and our plan is to tell no one. Todd sent out an email, confidential email to the staff on Friday, said this is the explanation, explained it all, it's going to start Monday morning. And I went to the class and said, who will go first? And Riley Junty raised her hand. She goes, I'll do it. And I said, are you sure? Because let me tell you, the first person is by far the riskiest. I said, I have no idea how social media is going to respond. I have no idea how the kids are going to respond. I have no idea how the parents are going to respond. I think it'll go well. I said, but there's no protection. Like, once it's out to 1,800 kids, there's no protecting you. And she's like, I'm fine. I'm fine. And she was mature, and she's confident, and she's on a mission to prevent suicide. So I said, okay, and I called her dad. We had extensive conversation about, look, this could end up being on YouTube, this could end up going, and I didn't think it would go to this level, I really didn't. But I knew that there could be media attached to it. And he was like, that's fine. So I said to Riley, come on up. And she goes, okay, well, I wrote it down on my cell phone. And the tape that everyone heard was Riley's tape, word for word. It was just brilliant, and it was beautifully written, and she had the text messages where she had the text messages from her ex that matched up what had happened, and so we took out any identifying information, and then when it got to the part where she thanked the person, she said, I thank Elise Godfrey, and she said what was interesting, Riley said what's interesting is, she and Elise it's not like her best friend for her entire life. She's just someone who's always been kind to me. And when I was having a hard time, she said, she's going to be totally surprised that I named her. And I said, that's perfect. So she was starting on a Monday, and I was worried all weekend about her. And I was texting her on Sunday, and I'm like, are you okay? You sure you want to do this? And she's like, yep, I'm good. And so we decided to build up social media because I was worried about her. So I had it built up where at least when she was done on Monday morning, there would be at least 36 kids in the class. Like, make sure you tweet out Riley. Wait, this is great. Way to go, Riley. So brave. And then we got Kate Abdu, who is a Fox Sports reporter. She has like 135,000 followers on Twitter. She was already set up ahead of time. She had listened to Riley's tape, and she was ready with her tweet. So she tweeted out Riley on Monday morning.
Principal Todd Dunkley was at the news conference. He outlined the procedure.
There are stories being submitted. We wanted to make sure, first and foremost, that the stories were a place where the student was healthy and safe enough to be able to share that story. We have determined, through the help of counseling and Ms. Fine, that there was a couple stories that we did not feel safe enough for that person yet, and their own well-being and where they're at in their journey of healing. So we had to go beyond that. We also wanted to make sure it was varied enough, so we covered both a variety of other genders, different backgrounds, different age groups, and that the stories were varied enough. So there's going to be, and there are already, more than 13 submitted. And we go through that. Parents are contacted ahead of time, and more than once on many occasions, to make sure, and all the way up to the point it's delivered, that there is a confident level of comfort there, as well as the person that is getting the notoriety of being the reason why not, that they're aware ahead of time. So we want to make sure that we don't get surprises of the wrong kind.
So what happened?
Actually, it went much better than I anticipated. There were parents who got the wrong message because we hadn't told parents, and we did that on purpose, and that made some people upset, which I understand. But this is about suicide prevention, and this is about saving lives, and this program has the components in it. Like, every single day at the end, each student gives an anti-suicide message. We have 800 numbers for Common Ground up. We have awareness boards in the hallways on mental health. We have teachers having conversations with their kids during the day, every day, for 13 days. The room is silent. And then we have conversation, and the number one way to prevent suicide is to talk about it. So every aspect of this program is not promoting contagion. It's the exact opposite of what the show is doing. It's saying there is no reason why. There's not one reason why. There's not 13 reasons why. There's not a million reasons why. There are no reasons why. And suicide is never the answer. Talk to an adult at home or talk to an adult at school. Number one way to prevent suicide is to talk about suicide. We list facts about suicide. So we had 7 trained counselors in the front office alone that day. Every day we have 7 trained counselors up here, and there really wasn't this huge there wasn't people in trauma throughout the hallways, and then it was just this, wow, what's going on. It was that shock factor that we wanted, because everyone was talking. By 8:30 Monday morning, everyone was talking. The kids were talking, the teachers were talking, the community was talking, the parents were talking. Some of them were yelling at me, but everyone was talking. And they were talking about suicide prevention. They were talking about, how do you talk to your kids about 13 reasons why? Talk to them about what's going on at school. Talking to them about 13 reasons why not. And every day, parents can be having a conversation with their student when they come home. What was the story today? What was it about? And then who did they thank? And what was their reason why not? So every day now, parents for 13 days at least don't have to hear, how was your day? Fine. What happened? Nothing. It's an opportunity for all of us to get in. Now when kids come in, I'll say, hey, what do you think about the project? And it's a conversation starter with any kid in the school. And they'll, I love it. Why? Can you relate to any of the stories? Which story have you related to the most? Kids will talk and talk and talk now. And when I have a conversation starter with anyone. So the first day was chaotic. There were a lot of misperceptions being thrown out on Facebook, and that we were playing the series. We were showing the show in class. Did you hear Oxford High School is like airing 13 Reasons Why? And did you hear that they played the tape, but they used a different name? And it was just, and then so panic ensued. And then once everyone realized, like, we sent out an email blast explaining it later on in the day. And then by the next day, the second day, Jordan Jaden went, and it, like, everyone knew it was coming and everyone was calm. But we felt like, and I still believe to this day, it was a risk, but it paid off. And if we would have sent everything out and said, this is what we're going to be doing, please talk to your child about, then it would have been parents already saying, well, wait, and having concerns, which is fine. But more importantly, it would have been parents talking to their kids before they got to school, and kids sending things out. Do you hear what they're doing tomorrow? It's stupid. Did you hear? This is stupid. And so we took all of that away and just had kids being like, what are they doing? What has happened right now? So it worked. And we've had amazing things happen out of it. We've just had amazing things happen between kids and for kids and the social media support. We've had 7 kids go now, and every night I check in with the whole group. We have a group chat, and I'm like, any negative comments? To this day, there has not been one negative post about one kid who's gone. There's been a lot about me. They come at me. I've had some kids coming at me pretty hard, and like I said, we had some parents who were upset with me and all that. That's fine. You can come at me, you can come at administration, you can come at Oxford schools, but leave the kids alone. Like, they're brave, leave them alone, and everyone has.
Pam shares more thoughts in a moment.
Vision loss is not something that you feel until it happens.
Most people lose their vision from diseases like macular degeneration and glaucoma, not at birth.
3 million Americans have glaucoma, and half don't even know it.
11 million people in the United States have macular degeneration.
So many eye disorders can be treated if caught early.
Make a plan today to get your eyes checked.
Visit brightfocus.org to learn more.
It appears that negative feelings have evolved into a positive program. More from Pam Fine.
The moments that have gone on in my office in the last 7 days are some of the best moments that I've had in 25 years of being a counselor or a bully prevention person or a dean. I've been in education for a long time, in different capacities, and a teacher. I mean, the stories that have come out within the stories, for instance, one of the girls went, and when the kids' announcement airs, the day that their tape goes on, they have the option to either sit in their class or they can come up here and stay with me and bring a friend, because it feels awkward to sit in your class while your tape is playing. So they have an option. You don't have to be in your class. You can be here. You can bring a friend. Where do you want to be? So Alexa came up here during her tape, and her tape was about body shaming and body image. And so she's up here, and I like to sit. Riley stayed the entire day. The first day, that first tape, Riley stayed with me the entire day so that we could monitor. I didn't want her in the hallways. I didn't want her in the classrooms. I didn't know what was going to happen. And I just watched her smile all day long. Oh, listen to this. Oh, listen to this. This just came in. Someone just said this. And so Alexa's up here, and the texts are starting to come in. Way to go, Alexa. I'm so proud of you, Alexa. You're beautiful, Alexa. And Megan Abbott's sister, Morgan, came walking in my office. And she's like smiling, and she said, Miss Fine, they said Megan Abbott on the announcements. I've never heard her name said before. And she's smiling, and then she goes, and it felt so good, but then it felt kind of sad. And I said, bittersweet. And she goes, yeah, that's it. And I said, this is Alexa. She's the one who said Megan's name. And Morgan goes, oh. They start hugging each other. Thank you for saying my sister's name. And I was like, this is amazing. So there have been so many things that have, where the kids have supported each other and they're being kinder. The kids are reporting like people are being a lot nicer. And I think it's because they are hearing the impact of their words. The first half is the impact of unkind words, and the second half is the impact of kind words. And there's always that juxtaposition every day of how bad they hurt and how good they feel.
There's a lot of shared pain here.
I had to go out because there was a dean issue. So as I'm walking out, there's the girl who's upset. And I said, I rub her arm and I said, I'll be right back. You know, I don't even know what's going on. I don't know who she is. I walk back in, and a student whose father committed suicide is just hugging her, and they're both crying. And she said, mine too, mine too. And then Morgan Abbott came in, and the three of them are hugging, and I'm like, okay, y'all win. Like, you win, get out of my office. Like, it was like powerful. It's just powerful, the shared stories and the shared pain and the shared hope and the shared, you know, it's like just intertwining of we're all in this together, and we go through some hard things, but like we can be here for each other, we can help each other, and we can support each other, and we can build each other up, and it's amazing.
Young Morgan Abbott knows about suicide firsthand. Her sister Megan was the Oxford freshman who took her own life 4 years ago. Hers was one of the letters.
Everyone wonders why I want to die so bad. It's because I get bullied all the time, and I feel unwanted, and I only have 2 close friends because all the other friends label me. All I'm looking for is to be loved and wanted. The other girl told her about rumors that she knew were true about Megan, and they were not. They were awful. She ended with, "You don't understand how much I hate myself, do you? Nobody gets it that I would rather be dead." I read this Facebook message to my sister for the very first time yesterday. So this tape is for you. Riley, Jordan, Jean, Kayla, Alexa, Dylan, Miss Rambo, and all who will go after me today. Thank you for doing this project. Thank you for stepping out to prevent suicide. I know some of you who spoke have never wanted to die, but you spoke for all of us who have been hurt. Thank you to everyone in this school who has been kind on social media lately. The school has felt nicer lately.
Morgan's mother weighs in a moment.
Canine Stray Rescue is Oxford's own local dog rescue. Call them at 248-628-0435 or go to their website dogsaver.org and click on the Canine Stray Rescue League link.
You're watching OCTV, Oxford Community Television, serving Oxford, Addison Township, and the village of Leonard. It was about 4 years ago that high school freshman Megan Abbott's body was found in a field near the high school. She decided that life was enough for her and ended hers. Her mother, Amy, is glad that 13 Reasons Why Not is here.
About 4 years ago, it'll be 4 years this 31st of May, we lost Megan, our daughter, his stepdaughter. And to hear, when we heard about the Netflix series, it's like, oh gosh, do we really need to hear about this? Do we really need something like this? And then I was contacted by Pam Fine regarding this project, and she wanted my blessing on it. I'm like, well, yes, if it's going to help somebody, yes, I think it's wonderful. It's going to get these kids talking. So from there, I've just been watching it and keeping in contact as much as I possibly can. We have a daughter who is a junior at the school who is Megan's sister, so she gives us info on it as well. So we're very much in touch with it because our daughter's still in school dealing with a lot of these issues.
Principal Todd Dunkley feels good about this too.
How far this elevated to the national viral, I didn't see that coming. I knew it would be very, very well thought of in the local area. Didn't realize it'd go past that.
And what about the kids?
My problem was I kept it in me for a while. I would come to school and keep it inside of me. Getting it outside released all that from me. So that's the message that got to the kids that came to me, that they got to talk to me about it. So as long as they got something to talk about and not keep it in them, keep the anger inside of them like I did, that's the change I got.
Yeah, a lot of people that I haven't even speak to come up to me and say they're like so proud that I spoke, and they have like the same issue sometimes, and they don't want people to know because they don't know how people would feel, and it's inspiring to speak for people that have the same as me. and to know that they have somebody out there for them.
I feel like it gave our teachers a new perspective. I know a lot of teachers, when you sit in a classroom, they can't just know your story, and I feel like the teachers took a step back and they realized like these kids go through more than we know, and I'm sure even the teachers can relate to stories because everyone does. It's not just us, it's not just teens, it's adults, it's young children that go through the same thing, and it brought awareness to the teachers because I know for quite a few of our stories, kids would break down crying in class or they would be overjoyed, and it gives the teachers a sense that like they can hand them off to people and they're admitting that they have a problem, they just want help, and everyone can relate to a lot of our stories.
So the first day mine aired, no one knew it was going to come on, and it was a risk that we were all taking. I was very nervous because I didn't know the backlash I might receive. But 15 minutes after my tape played, a girl came down to the office saying that she had been through the same situation as me or something similar, and she was there to get help. And from that 15 minutes, I knew that I had done the right thing and that this project was the right thing because, I changed someone's life in 15 minutes.
My locker neighbor is actually Megan's little sister, Morgan, and I actually didn't know that until probably a week ago, which is bad, but, in my tape, I think I was the first one to mention the death of Megan, and that's one of the biggest reasons why we did this entire project was because of her. And I think when it did happen, there was talk about it, but bringing this project together and talking about it makes everyone aware of it, and I wish this project would have been there during that time in making it aware. But after I talked about Megan's death and mine, her little sister ended up coming in my counselor's office, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I just heard my sister's name on the PA, like I'm so happy, I'm so filled with joy." And my counselor like pointed to her and was like, "Oh, that's Alexa, she was the one who said her name." And I don't think I've ever gotten a bigger hug in my entire life.
If you watch the series, you may wonder if it's really possible for today's teens to experience so many of life's traumas.
Sadly, from working here, we have kids who are subjected to almost everything that she's gone through regularly. We have dealt with students who are unconscious and taken advantage of, and that same student then coming back to school and they are cyberbullied and they are harassed and they are called names, and sadly, and on top of it, they won't have two parents who love them and support them, and they aren't good in school, and they don't have a nice house. She had a lot of reasons. So when I was watching it from a mental health standpoint, and I see kids who actually go through, sadly, much worse things. Those kids are right. Like, I had it worse than Hannah Baker, and I look at them and I'm like, kinda, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So, yeah. And we have kids who live in poverty. We have kids who, suffered from abuse. We have kids in domestic violence relationships. We have, kids who are bullied. We have, our kids go through a lot, and kids who have been sexually assaulted. And then on top of it, you add the social media piece that never stops. It just never stops bombarding them, and they can be sitting in class and not even know it, and someone's Snapchatting them a picture out, making fun of them, and 15 people are getting a Snapchat where they're making fun of someone sitting in class who's just sitting there trying to learn and don't even know that they're the butt of everyone's joke.
Yeah.
But they find out about it later. It's the world that they live in is so vastly different than what I grew up in. The social media component, the Snapchatting, the mean texting, when you're mad at someone, subtweeting about them, it's constant. And so I just think, I don't even really know how to quantify the amount of stress that they go under.
And as for Amy Hafley, the late Megan's mom,
I'm very proud of them for coming forward, and I can't thank them enough for making Megan's wish come true.
and we're proud too. Thanks to Kyle Snage at the controls, Danny's Weiss at the editing desk, and you for watching. This is Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.